Hello and welcome to ArmorBiker.com, and today we're looking at one of the most good looking motorcycles out there in the 250cc segment, and well, let's see if it rides as good as it looks.
At the time, it was a token of freedom, speed and infinite potential. The start of a legendary journey. Things progressed rapidly with Husqvarna.
So by now everybody has already told you huge stories about the history and the heritage of the Husqvarna brand. So I'll not take you through that. But what I will take you through is how similar this is and how different it is from the other 250s in the Bajaj KTM stable. So it shares the engine with the Duke 250. Same engine, no change in spec. The BS6 engine, no change in spec there. It shares the main frame with the same bike, the Duke 250 itself. But the rear subframe is now different, by which they have actually kept the pillion seat a little bit lower height as well. That's what they achieved, and it's shorter as well, if you can see. And then in terms of its brother, well, there's a white pillion as well. So that has a different alloy wheels. It has clip-on handlebars. It's a single seat. And overall that is a more cafe racer, while this one has been designed with a scrambler look. Another obvious change between the Swart Pillion and the White Pillion is that the tires, so these run on a little bit of knobby tires. These are the MRF Revs D and FD tires in the front. So let's get right into it, the meat of it, right? So engine and performance. Well, this engine, we are very familiar with it when it's there on the Duke 250, it's there on the Swart Pillion, and then the White Pillion as well. And then there is a different version of it or a different tune of it on the Dominar 250, the new Dominar 250. So we are all very used to this engine, so the engine character remains the same. So it loves to rev and ride it slow. The Duke 250 engine, or basically this 250cc engine, had this dual nature. The 390 was all out, you always have to rev it to keep and have any fun on it. The 200 engine, the one on the Duke 200, was a similar engine. The 250 engine, what they had achieved was it had a very dual character. So you can ride it slow and it would feel like a commuter bike, and it would not feel like you have 250cc under you. But ride it fast, as in you keep the revs above 7-8k, and then it totally behaves differently. So this vehicle loves to rev. So when you ride it hard, like for example when you're out on the highway or when having some fun, this vehicle really keeps up with you. Yes, there is a lack of refinement, a little bit of vibes that creep up, but not an issue, I would say. It loves to rev, so it builds up speed quickly as well when you do that. Keep the shifts above 7-8k and it will do up to 130 quite easily. And even with me sitting on it, it did 130 quite easily. In city speeds, you do wish that it had a little bit of low-end grunt, because off the line, like for example you're at a signal or you're stuck in slow-moving traffic, you need to keep the revs above 3k 4k to actually get more of the power to get going. Below that, you feel like you'll need to slip the clutch, or so just be in the right gear and keep the revs up, and you get used to that, and then it's a whole lot of fun to ride this bike. So owing to this different silencer design that Husqvarna has given, it sounds a little bit different than the the Duke 250 and of course the Dominar 250. I think it sounds much better, but this sounds different. That's the point. So since this one is meant as an urban ride machine, mileage is also quite a big concern, right? So I believe this gives anywhere between 30 to 35, sane riding, and if you're keeping it pinned at about 8,000-9,000 RPM, of course it comes to about 30-32. So we know this engine, right? I mean, it's not the guns blazing like on the 390. So in this one runs a bit cooler. And there is no heat thrown at even in city conditions, and we were pushing it hard on the highway as well, and it still did not heat up. But what does surprise you is that suddenly the fan kicks in and you hear this wah sound, and okay, you realize that okay, the fans come on now. Maybe that sound sort of reminds you okay, something else is going on, but maybe different sort of fan to avoid that sound. I don't know, but that's been one of the traits with the KTM, and now it's trait of the Husqvarnas as well. So now when it comes to handling, well, the typical KTM traits remain. It is a good handling machine. There is small change in the riding dynamics when it comes to the Duke, and basically rider triangle is different. So the Swart Pillion, actually you sit a little bit more upright, you slightly leant forward, and then you have a easy riding position, as in it is sporty, but yet you're not like lying on the tank and going like that. But on the White Pillion, it's kind of like that. Something similar to that of the RC and the Duke, but again slightly different dynamics in terms of the rudder triangle. But it's easy to ride, very nimble. The front is incredibly light. I feel it's even more lighter than on the Duke. Even Akhil behind the camera, he rode it in the city and he's like, feels like a cycle in that light. I also enjoyed it. I mean, it's very nimble in the city. You can flick it, do anything, and it still feels confident. The only place probably I felt a little bit worried about the lightness is at higher speed. So above 110, 120, when you reach that spot, the handlebar doesn't weigh up. So that lightness over those speeds, you kind of, small undulations on the road, it sort of destabilizes the bike a little bit, and you feel a little bit scared keeping those speeds. The short bursts fine, but keeping at those speeds 120, 130, those small undulations will a little bit unsettle the bike. So that is a bit of a concern, but again, since it's meant as a city bike, I don't think you'll be keeping it pinned all the time. So you'll be in that 40 to 80, 100 range, and their handling is top notch. Then moving on to the suspensions, another important part of the handling aspect. Well, these are on the stiffer side, not surprising, because this is meant primarily for the urban use. But they do soak up the bumps decently. I mean, you can't put it through a off-road patch and expect it to hold up. Even though it has got a scrambler design, this is basically tuned for the road and mostly urban conditions. And the ground clearance, well, even though it looks kind of low, it is actually not bad. I mean, we haven't really scraped it on many speed breakers, or and it is, I believe, 149 mm, and that is pretty adequate. I was a bit worried about the number, but I think if you have a pillion though, it might settle in a little bit more, and those crazy speed breakers, you might scrape on them.
Honestly, I don't know who the f*** to trust. Is he my friend or my foe? I'm off the exit, draw. Yeah, give me that claim as well. I remember back when I was younger, I was happy. Nowadays feel like no one understand me. I'm good at artists, silly.
So then moving on to brakes, well, disc at both ends, obviously dual channel ABS, and you can switch off the ABS for the rear, and put it into supermoto mode. And how the brakes perform, well, they are quite sharp, and you have decent feel from front and back. Front is also pretty good. These run the same disc size as the 390, but they do not have the sintered pads. So you miss that initial huge stopping power that the 390 has. So it's a right swap. So in your first disc pad swap, switch to the 390 pads and sintered pads from 390, and I think it should be back to how it's supposed to be. But in the stock setup, it's definitely still good, not like precision good like the 390, but definitely good enough for city usage. So a lot of you guys asked on Instagram that why is this one's seat height 842 mm, while even the Himalayan adventure bike is only 800 mm of seat height. Well, let's show it by example, because I'm tall, so there's no point in me showing the seat height. Akhil, who's behind the camera, he's 5'5", and let's see how he sits on it. And here he goes. So you can see it's not a huge burden. There is a bit tiptoe, of course, but I believe it's not bad that you have to lean to one side and your feet are still on the ground. So when it comes to tire performance, well, I like these tires on the Swatpile, because these are really good, because this is the first time I'm riding with these tires, the MRF-D, FD and D revs basically, and these really provide a lot of confidence on loose gravel, on road of course, and you can really push hard on these, and you can feel the presence of grip, so that's something good. And I'm actually quite excited to try these tires on different bikes as well. So let's talk about well, looks, that's all up to you, but let me tell you my perspective. Well, from me, this part of the bike looks awesome. I mean, in this angle, I think this is the best looking bike. But come to this part of the bike, well, things sort of finishes off quite quickly, isn't it? You be the judge, tell me what do you think about that. So, well, design wise, this headlight looks great, right? And I'm happy to say that even on the street, it's quite adequate. It has good, very focused throw, low beam and high beam. Well, of course, a huge typical LED character that if there's a strong oncoming light, it sort of disappears. But for city use and even with street lights, you still have good throw on the ground, and I think that's a welcome change when it comes to LED lights. Then I like this round design. I wish maybe if the digital display actually was a bit bigger, sort of fitting into this circle quite nicely, but pretty standard straightforward stuff. I mean it shows you range, shows you your normal speedo, auto, and you can actually, the dual channel ABS, basically you can set it to supermoto mode from here, keep it pressed, and of course deactivates the ABS on the rear wheel. But looks good, it's got that classic look. Would we have liked to see something like on the 390 in a round shape, connectivity? Yes, of course, but but yeah, I think this sort of maintains the minimalistic overall look of the bike. Coming to build quality, well, typical Bajaj KTM build quality, nothing really to complain of. I think a lot of guys have already said it, and I would also say it. Maybe a little bit of these wires could have been zip tied in place, and sort of like all over the place. Since you have this beautiful trellis frame, when you see all these hoses and wires, it sort of is a distraction, but I think you get used to it in terms of look at it from this angle. Like I told you before, it looks really beautiful. So who is this bike for? Well, this is meant for those single riders, and by single I mean one rider, not forever alone types. But these are this bike is primarily meant for that, and as you can see, pillion space is not of big importance on this. So if you are basically going to use it only for your commute and maybe short rides on the weekend, I'm talking about less than 150 kilometers ride on the weekend, I think this will be quite comfortable. Yes, the seats are a bit hard, but I think for this commute and these short rides, it is quite adequate. And if you like the styling of it, definitely I like it. And even if it was going to be my one bike just for the commute, definitely I would think of going for this one. And do check out the white pile as well, but it has got a little bit of more aggressive riding position. Make a call on that depending on your choice, but it definitely makes a strong case, as in when you want, a lot of people are not bikers, right? I mean, most people just buy a bike to commute, and for them who want something that looks stylish and goes decently fast and something for the daily use, I think the Swart pile and the white pile makes a good case. So tell me what you think about it. I know there are a lot of questions on this bike. It is a bit of an unknown brand when it comes to India, and let me know what you think. And interestingly, this is priced about 20-25,000 cheaper than the Duke 250, so that's a case by itself. So I'll see you in the next one, and do let me know what you think about it in a comment below.